Welcome to Peel and Reveal, the podcast where we share stories about joy, purpose and self-discovery. I'm Annelie and in this episode I'm talking with Marie Petersson, a licensed medical doctor and specialist in internal medicine with almost 20 years of experience. After personally recovering from burnout, Marie shifted her focus to helping others heal from stress-related conditions. She combines her expertise in functional and energy medicine to address the root causes of illness, guiding women to reconnect with their self-healing power and create balanced, harmonious lives. Marie offers a range of services, including life force activation and Reiki healing classes, as part of her approach to holistic health. Through health coaching and online programs, she supports women in recovering from stress and achieve balance on a physical, mental, emotional, and energetic level. Let's dive into this warm and lovely conversation with Marie. So Marie, we usually started this podcast with going back in history to kind of hear a little bit about who were you as a kid? Who was little Marie? Tell me about growing up.
She was a very sensitive soul. And I'm so happy to be getting back to her in my 40s because she has been gone for a long time. And I remember my best memories. I thought about this because you asked me this question beforehand.
Yeah.
Who was she? And I have my greatest memories when I'm alone in nature. That's my memories that are the brightest ones.
Yeah.
Picking flowers for my mom, or just feeling the earth through my shoes. I remember walking to school and I had new shoes that were really thin.
Yeah.
And I could feel the ground through them. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Oh, wow.
So, and I think I saw things that other people didn't see, and it kind of scared me because I didn't understand what was happening. So at some point I turned it off. So just that part. But I've always been a highly sensitive person, feeling everything and everyone, and not really knowing who am I and who are you. I asked my son the other day, is it you or me? Are you in a bad mood or is it me? Because I don't know. And he was like, it's me, Mom. I'm sorry. I woke up like this. So, okay, so I'm going to give this back to you and talk to me if you want to change it, then I can help you.
Yeah.
But I have to get this out of me and back to you because it's not mine. Okay.
Wow, interesting. Do you, when you were a kid, were you that aware already? What was yours and what was others, or not?
I had no idea.
No, okay. And was there anyone around you that kind of understood this sensitivity? Or?
I think they could have if I had the words to express it, but I just assumed that everyone was like this. Because I didn't know. Yeah. And then it has taken me a long time to realize that that's not the case, because a few years ago I worked at the care center where I live. Yeah. And I asked the psychologist, what do you do when you feel your patient's emotions inside you? And she was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, oh, you don't feel them? No, okay. So how do you work with them if you don't know how they are feeling? Yeah. And that was a shift in my mind. This is not everyone's situation.
Yeah.
So this is it's like a curse and a superpower at the same time. Yeah. Because I really need to ask myself, is this me? Is it mine? And especially in the facilitating energy classes, be very clear. This is my story. This is your story. This is your emotions, and these are mine. Yeah. And to separate them. And it's been a good school to learn to do that. But in my work, it's a skill because I know what's going on inside you. You don't have to tell me. No. I hope it doesn't make you anxious.
No, but I'm can I ask her what's going on inside me now? Because, there is a lot going on in my life. I have very big decisions to take in the next few days. So I feel a lot of stuff going on, but I cannot really... this English word, I don't know. I don't really know what is what. I can't really divide it. So when you say this, I'm like, maybe she can figure it out.
Well, my answer is always go to nature.
Yeah.
Always. Like ground yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to the silence, because then you will know.
Yeah.
And I kind of started to just let my intuition guide me and put my mind aside, because it doesn't really know the answers.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm where you are now, like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I just sit back and try to be in silence or meditation, or in the forest. I usually lay down in the forest looking like the weirdo I am and not caring too much about that.
I've been hugging trees literally and having people pass by, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I am curious, because I think, well, I do understand that you're more sensitive than many others, but I do think that this is something that many would benefit from understanding, like what is mine and what is yours, because I do think that more people have some sort of connection to it, even though they might not be realizing it.
Yeah.
If you can't ask a person like what's going on in you, like you did with your son, do you have any other kind of hacks to kind of figure out what is in you and what is in others?
When it comes to energy work, I got the advice to ask anything that is not yours to leave your body now.
Okay.
And for example, when you wake up and you're not feeling like what's going on, you can just ask this energy that you have in your body to help you release whatever isn't yours. And sometimes it helps to like take a cold shower and, as I said, be out in nature.
Yeah.
And just maybe ask yourself, is this even mine? I was waiting for the train one morning, like with my headphones, having a nice time. I was relaxed, I had a lot of time, and I just closed my eyes and stood there like, because like the subway is not my favorite place in the world. So just, okay, I'm here. And as I'm standing there, I get a feeling that something is not right, like an itch in my body. I'm starting to feel like irritated and annoyed and like, oh. And then I look up and I see that there are like hundreds of people waiting for the train because it's late, and I haven't noticed, because I'm like, I have a lot of time, I don't care. So I see that was so clear to me, like, this is not mine. This is not mine. It comes in my energy field, because it's about like almost 2 meters wide.
Yeah.
And when it enters my field, I can feel it. So I was like, oh, okay, this is very evident that I was in a good place. This is happening. And I think that you need to be aware. It's about 15% that are highly sensitive people. And either it's something you learned when you were a child because you had to pay attention to your surroundings to be safe. Maybe you had a parent that you didn't really know, like, what kind of mood will they be in, what's going to happen. So you can develop this sensitivity to keep yourself safe. Or you can be born with it. Or you can have both, which makes it even bigger.
Okay, so then it's like stronger.
Yeah.
What do you think it was for you?
I think I was born like this. Like I have my mother describing how I used to hide like under tables and behind her to be like, okay, let's see what's going on. So I think I had it mostly. And by being very sensitive, maybe you also easier develop another sensitivity towards everyone around you, because you're already there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I had a very safe childhood, so I don't think that's the case, but they can be both. And I wish I knew what it was, and especially when you get overwhelmed, where maybe no one else gets overwhelmed. Like, I need so much space, lonely time, like by myself in nature. You need to find the safety within you. It's within you. You cannot try to put it in things or people or like ideas. It doesn't work. So now when I don't have any of those things, I feel safe.
Interesting.
Yes.
And is the safety from realizing that it's within you, or what was it that you found within you?
I think partly that I had to realize that I had to put the safety in me because I had relationships that were taken or ending, and every time my safety was gone, and it broke me. Like I couldn't handle it, so it made me kind of maybe clingy or not wanting to end things in a good time when it was needed. So I was like, I cannot do this again. This is not going to happen again. I need to find it within me because it cannot be taken every time something changes. I cannot lose this again. I'm done. And not meaning that I'm done with relationships, but done with like projecting my safety outside
to other people.
Yeah, or to like having an employment or money or like, you know, all these things that we perceive as safety, but they're not really, because they can always like come and go. Everything comes and goes except for me and my conscious. And yeah, this is what I've got. This is what's gonna stay. Like, and this is the body I have until it's gone, and I'm still gonna be there. So this is the safe place.
Yeah.
And yeah, also realizing that I am this consciousness. I'm none of these things. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my feelings. I'm not my body. Whatever happens to them is fine. But this is my safe place. And also seeing that when I start to listen to my intuition, I'm held and I'm supported and I'm guided in every step in a way that is like, it's unimaginable how this works. I don't know. I'm still like, what? Is it possible?
Yeah.
So for every step I take trying to listen to my intuition and to my heart and just following it, whatever it says. It has said so many weird things, like this is what you're gonna do. And I had one yesterday, like this is what you're gonna do. I'm like, no.
What was it?
Maybe I should share it so that I have to like realize it in the future. I had a meeting with a person yesterday who kind of put my thoughts into place. Like maybe at this place where you're now, like what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And he just straightened it out. You know, he was like, but who's going to do this? If it's not you, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Like no one. It needs to be done. So my ambition with this energy work has always been to make it public, like to make it not weird and make it accessible to everyone, and not only to people who are already like in the spiritual realm of things, because I was not. When I went to my first CAP session, I was like, what the what the beep what the beep is going on? I'm like super scared, and it was a very safe place with my favorite facilitators, but it was still like, oh my god. And then I think that it can be perceived as something very scary and weird and alternative, and like, but it to me is like the next step of evolution for humankind. We need this. We need to get access to this. So he like pointed a way to do this, and it's through like combining my medical skills with this and try to lay some kind of foundation in the research to make it like what was done with yoga. Yoga was super weird until there were research, and it's not necessary, it's not maybe needed, because it's a practice based on what you realize yourself, or what you feel and what you like. But for people who doesn't know what this is, it seems that what I do is to point at research for certain things, like why are you supposed to hug a tree? What happens to your immune system and to your NK cells and what is the exact, what is grounding doing to you with the electrons, and how does it work, and for how long do you have to do it, and like for how many times. It makes it safer for some people to try. So that's my kind of mission. Not really knowing how to get there, but he laid the path very clearly.
So what was weird?
In what?
You said that the thing about that you got yesterday, it was so weird, or maybe I interpreted it, but it was something that in with your intuition that you...
It wasn't weird. It was more like, shit, do I have to?
Got it. I was like, because that's amazing.
Yes, but I always...
Yes, you have to.
Yes, it is amazing, but I'm always like, couldn't someone else do it?
Okay, yeah.
Like I don't wanna be this person. I don't wanna be in the front of things.
Oh.
I'd rather like watch from a distance and see how it goes, and then but this is not my life anymore. I don't get to watch. I need to do and take action, and it's super rewarding, but my mind always says no. Like the first is like, no. Why me? I don't want to. Let's hide under a rock for a while and see what happens.
But I mean, we haven't been in contact that much, but you mentioned a few times that you have a very strong intuition. I'm sometimes confused about what's my intuition and like what is just, because I'm the opposite. I'm yes to everything. So like so sometimes I'm like, is this my intuition, or is this just, an idea I got and I ran, or like so how do you know when something is coming from your intuition?
I have different voices in my head. It's usually words. It can also be a sense of feelings inside, but when it's not my intuition, it's scary. It's trying to warn me, or it's super pushy, like trying to kick me hard to the front. But the intuition is always kind. It's always calm. And it's always patient. Persistent, but patient.
Okay.
And very with like not stressed voice. And sometimes it's super excited, and that might not be the intuition. That might be the ego, like trying to do something or be seen, or like, wait, maybe this is for me. It's not like for everyone. And it's also a feeling in the body. It's like a leaning towards, but not super high energy, or it's like no. But when it's a no, it's a calm no. It's not like I'm going to die, because that's the ego. Freaking out. So it's I think you need also some kind of silence to hear it. It needs to be some kind of quiet. It can be also like pictures or visions. It's during the energy class, it's usually easier to hear. I have a lot of clients that says, I know now. This is what I know. And it can just be like an inner knowing, but it's always kind of calm. And so I know what I'm going to do, like in the future, but my mind says no. I don't want to.
Interesting.
And it's trying to scare me off. Like coming here today, it was like, no, you cannot do this. That's not my intuition. My intuition is yes. It's fine. Like, it's okay. So I think you just need to get to know your
voices.
Different voices and put like names on them. Or I have a client that has animals. There's a herd of like sheep running. This is not the intuition.
Okay.
It's like, wow, run. There's a wolf. Run. So just trying to find out who is talking. Who is talking right now? Is it my ego, or someone trying to warn me or push me too hard, or is it my intuition that always like knows?
It's the grounded one.
Yeah, and you don't have to listen. So yesterday I was like, I hear you. I'm not going to do it today. I was like, okay. And then this morning I woke up with a plan on how to do it. It's like, okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, let's do it.
Life gets easier that way.
Yeah.
Okay, we're definitely gonna get back into that, but I kind of wanna because at least for me, I think an interesting part of your story is that you come from like being a medical doctor and now do this. So do you want to share a bit about that part of your path?
I think I've always been doing this. And the maybe 5 years before I went to my first CAP session, I realized that the less I do, the more happens in my clients or in my patients. So I just like more and more leaned back and just held the space for them. And I saw that like when they enter the room, they start to cry. And everyone is surprised. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, it's fine. Whatever wants to come is welcome. So I more and more saw like the space that I am holding is what they need. They don't need medicine, usually. They need to find something within them. They need to release something within them. They need to find their path. And I realized that a lot of people came with illnesses or stress or something that was due to them not following their path. And I saw that I can see it. Like when they speak, it's like a mind map, a visual mind map, where certain things that they say light up. Like, doot, doot. I'm like, okay, it's here. These are the keys. And then I can relate to that and just mirror it back to them. Like, this is what I hear. Is this making sense? So a lot of times it's more like energy work, I think.
Yeah.
That was going on.
You just didn't know that was what you were doing.
I had no idea.
Amazing.
So I was like, why are they crying so much? Like, everyone, what's going on?
Was that like something that happened over time, or was it since you first started seeing patients as a doctor?
I think it was from the beginning, but becoming more and more clear.
Okay.
As I like stepped out of my idea about how a doctor was supposed to be, whereas it's quite forward, like it's an authority, and I know what you're gonna do, and this is how we do it. Like, these are the symptoms, and this is the way. Yeah. Because there's only one way. Yes or no, A or B. Like, this is it. So when I started to like lean back and just listen to what's going on, I could hear something else. So there was one woman who came for a heart palpitation, something with her heart, and I was like, it's not this. I can feel that it's not this. I know that it's the relationship between her and her husband that is causing this. In something that she says, it was like a word. I was like, this. It's here. She didn't say anything. And I knew this, and she knew this, but she wasn't ready to like address it until she came the 5th time. And I examined her heart during this time, and there was nothing going on. And then I asked her, do you feel safe with your husband? Does he scare you? And it came out like the real cause why she was there. So I started to realize that I can feel their emotions. I can see behind what they are telling me, like there's something else going on, and this is the root cause. So that's when I kind of switched to functional medicine, because they talk about root causes. I was like, yes, this is it. And it wasn't really. Okay. Because it's great in the physical sense. It's like why illnesses come up in your body, but there is rarely a spiritual perspective. And to me, that is the most important thing. Like, do you know who you are? Do you know where you want to be in life? Do you know where you're going? Do you know why you're here? And no one asked that kind of question. So I was happy to learn like the functional medicine basics and the root causes, but this is also a perspective that I need to have. And it wasn't there. So
interesting.
Kind of search for the place where they had it.
Yeah.
Didn't find it. And my intuition said, you have to create it. I was like, no, I don't want to. I can't. Yes, you have to. Okay. Okay, I will do it.
Wow. Okay. And like, how does, if we go back to CAP, like being in your first class and like experiencing that, how did that relate to what you are now creating?
I realized at my first CAP session, which is now under the label of life force activation in my life, but it's kind of the same energy. So
to clarify, CAP stands for Kundalini Awakening Process, and then LFA is life force activation.
So it's just different kind of brands, but the energy is free. I realized at the first session that this is what I'm gonna do. This is it. And I remember I couldn't really take my bicycle home because I wasn't really there because my universe had flipped like 180 degrees, like poof.
Okay.
Everything that you imagine could be true is happening. It's true. It's here because I have been taking a Reiki like training. 2 levels, but not really. I wasn't really sure, like, is it working or like what's going on, and not feeling it. But this was like a baseball bat in my head, like whap. Yes, could you please listen? So, and it helped me to realize this. Like spiritual awakening, what am I? And separating me from my feelings and my thoughts, and like getting a connection to something bigger, which is my safety now. Like I'm not alone. I'm a part of something bigger than me. So I felt I had to merge it, but there was a fear, maybe going a long way back to burning the witches. There was like, what's gonna happen to me if I do this? Who is gonna do something to me? And it was a fear that was bigger than it should be. Like it was like, if I do this, I'm going to die. And I couldn't really understand, why is this? It's not going to happen. No one is burning witches in Sweden. It's not going to, it's okay. So I think that was like a generational trauma being coming to the surface. So I had to go through that one. Like, okay, let's do this for all of the women who came before me. And quite unwillingly going that path. Like, okay. And I remember in a session, like when I went to a CAP session, asking, like, I cannot bear this. I cannot release the traumas from all these. I saw the generations before me. It's too much. Like, I cannot hold this. And then I heard the voice, yes, you can, because this is a gift that you're given. Like, you're going to get this energy and you're going to work with it. So you can. And like, we need you. Yeah. Come on. Please. I was like, not me. So I've had a lot of resistance and a lot of fear, which I had to like go through step by step. And I think that's still coming up when it's like, okay, but you can do this. Maybe you can find some research. Maybe you can develop this differently. And that some part of this fear is always like, what's going to happen to you if you do this? Is it okay? Like who's gonna, someone gonna say something? Or, and nowadays it doesn't matter because I do it anyways. I have to. There's no other way to, there's no way to get out once you're in this. There's no way to get out. Maybe sometimes I'm like, I wish I could go back just one day, not knowing these things. Like just being. And then I remember it wasn't that nice.
No.
So, okay, you're happier now. It's good. Let's do it.
Let's continue down this road.
Let's continue. And I think the hard part is that you can't see the road. It's all in like behind the trees or in darkness, and you have to take the first step not knowing and feeling like you're gonna fall off a cliff, and then realizing it was just a small tiny threshold and feeling a little bit stupid after. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's funny, many times the things that are scaring us the most turns out to be the greatest rewards.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And now I know that's the way it is. So I'm like, okay. But I'm longing for the day when everything is yes.
I'll teach you about it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's not always good either.
No.
But okay, so a lot for me, at least, when it comes to LFA or CAP, is very hard to put in words, and maybe it shouldn't be put in words. But because of what you're saying is your kind of path, can you try to help us put what is happening in a CAP class in words from a more mind angle?
I think there are two different kinds of people, maybe more. Some don't need the words. They can just surrender and like let the energy take them places. I could not. I needed the words, the explanation, and like to feel a little bit safer. So there's no point in like the specific words, but if I get a framework, like this is potentially how it works, I can lean into that framework and feel safe.
Yeah.
So that's how I use it. And the more I practice this and hold sessions, I get a sense of what it is to me. So how I perceive it, there's no right or wrongs in this. And I think it's different for everyone, but it feels like I open an energy field. And it's like a tuning fork that strikes onto your energy, the one that you already have, the one that we are made of. And in my opinion, which is not the truth, but it's mine, it's not a Kundalini activation. It's not Shaktipat. I am not a guru. I cannot do that. Very few people, I think, in the world are able to. So what we can do is open this field to allow the body to release whatever it needs to release. In the mental body, you can release thought forms, like ideas that holds you back. And in the emotional field, you can release emotions that might be stored in your body. This is not a trauma therapy. If you have a PTSD or like severe traumas, you should see a specific therapist. This is not a therapy for that, but it can release emotions that are like underneath. And we live in a society where emotions are not very appreciated of any kind, not too much. Don't laugh too loud. I think this might be yours.
Yes. I'm trying to learn how to laugh in the microphone by moving my head around.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to be everything that we are.
Yeah.
So it's a way to release whatever we haven't been able to access in a very safe space, because there is a facilitator to hold this, and hopefully a trauma-informed one, which I feel is very important, to see what's happening and be able to hold the space. And I think this is kind of where it's connected from like 17 years in the ER. seeing whatever comes up in people. There is nothing I cannot take and hold in this space. Like it's okay, whatever comes up. And there is also a way to connect to your body, to notice what's going on. It's like a mindfulness exercise to just be curious, not to judge, and just try to follow whatever happens. So when the body tries to release whatever it needs to release, there can be phenomena coming up, like movements or visions or light, or you can hear things, or they can come sounds out of you which feels super weird. I had a mouse once on my class. That was fun.
Like a person turned into a mouse, or in your head?
No, just a sound.
The sound. Okay. Yeah.
There has been foxes and deers and lions, and so it's so fun. So this is just manifestations of things getting released. It's not a sign of that you're having a Kundalini awakening, which is what people are afraid of. So I think in the best case, the Kundalini energy, which is spoken of like an energy dormant in the base of your spine, could maybe be stirred a little bit, but I haven't met anyone or heard about anyone who had a Kundalini awakening from this kind of energy sessions. But it can help you to get in touch with your intuition and release whatever fears you have that hold you back from your path. And since it's not a matter of will, it's just an invitation, it's quite safe. Because that was my first concern, like, is it dangerous? What could happen? Can there be potential side effects of something? And there are certain people that should not come to this class. It's always stated where I post my sessions, like, these are the things, just to be super safe. So it's a spiritual practice. It's not a healing practice. It's not a trauma treatment, but it's a way to awaken to who you are and maybe get a sense of oneness and to get in touch with you. And that's what most people need, I think, to find their way back to who they truly are.
Yeah. I'm just curious, and maybe this is just a word thing, so, correct me then, but isn't being able to connect more to yourself part of a healing practice? Like you said, it's not the healing practice, but finding yourself for me would be healing.
It's not a healing practice in the regard of like releasing. If you compare it to Reiki energy, that is a healing energy that is supposed to help you with pain or with stress, to go into like the physical body. I'm not a Reiki expert, but it can happen in these sessions also, but it's not the purpose. No. So it depends on the definition of healing. Yeah. But to me, healing is like a physical.
Okay, so it's more connected to physical. Okay, yeah. So interesting. Yeah,
definitely healing in your sense of the word.
Of the word, yeah. But this is the thing I have. I need sometimes to actually, look up a word because I kind of interpret it in my own way, and then I use it and I realize, I use it in a different way than other people.
And I don't think there is a right or wrong definition either. And that's what's been kind of annoying to me, coming from the world I come from. Like, there is nothing to hold on to. Yeah. There is experience. Yeah. And there is like the ancient writings about this, and nothing. Yeah. I've actually found some studies. They're mostly done on Kundalini awakenings, like spontaneous. Yeah. And what happens in the brain and what you can see. So there are some, and I only found one with this kind of transmission-based thing. So I know there is some research going on with inner dance, which is kind of a similar modality. Yeah. Haven't seen anything yet. No. So I know it's not needed because I know it's true, but I think it will help just to get this to the forefront of a practice that can be used for like stress reduction or finding yourself back in a safe way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And today, if you would like describe the work that you do when you combine, because you combine a lot of that stuff, you combine what you did in your medical practice with the functional medicine, with the CAP, with coaching, like how would you describe what you do now?
I don't do it under the label of medical doctor as under the government part. Because that's against the law in Sweden. So I don't use that if I have that kind of setting. But when I work in my own company, I use my knowledge from the medicine and from the functional medicine to guide my clients. And I call it coaching because that's the closest word that I think it's too small.
It feels like it.
It's super small, but it's something that can be understood. And like, okay, so I call it health coaching. And it's developing like all the time. But I had a dream to have online courses for women to self-heal from stress in connection with nature and with this tool that I call it, the energy practice, and to be able to release whatever they need to find their way back. So it's reading like 4 modules of physical health, mental health, emotional health, and spiritual or energy health, to address all the all the labels, all the bodies that we need to look into. So I see that when I do this, the results are much bigger when you combine it, because I had health coaching or working with women in the healthcare with stress-related issues, and I had people in my energy sessions who had their journeys, but when combined, it's magically speeding up the process. And there is no need to do it quickly. That's not the point. But it helps so much to be able to understand the nervous system, to understand your hormone system, your trauma responses, like what formed you to be the person that you are in relation to your family. Who are you? Like in the patterns that you have, they are not you, but you have them, and you have to deal with them, and how to do that, and then adding the energy work. So the first thing is like setting the frame for sleep, movement, food, whatever the physical body needs, like the basic needs. How can you do this? Because they're all intertwined. It's kind of hard to separate them, but we have a mind, so we have to like put them in piles to understand what is going on. So then like the one building on the other one, just to find balance on all levels. And it's also to invite people to nature, to connect back to the roots. And there is a part of the functional medicine that's called evolutionary medicine, that is looking into how is this organism, like this costume, supposed to be living to be in balance. What are we supposed to eat? When are we supposed to sleep with like the circadian rhythm? How are we supposed to live like in connection with other people, and how does screens affect us, and how does loneliness affect us? And just going back to the roots. I'm not suggesting to live like in a cave.
I could consider
Yes, I'm sure you could. Let's do it.
Yes.
But just trying to bring whatever you can from like the ancient times back into like to use the knowledge that we all have on how to be in balance, to bring it back into our daily lives. And I mean, I love to have a dishwasher. I love many, many things about how life is today, but we also need to realize that nothing changed in us in like 10,000s of years. Maybe someone is better at drinking milk because there's been a slight shift in the DNA, but not too much. So you have to see like who was Annelie 10,000 years ago. You have the same ways of being, but the environment has changed a little bit too much to easily be in balance. It's not easy, so you have to make space for it. And it's possible, but you have to like be mindful to create space to be in balance. So that's what I do.
It's lovely.
Shortly.
But I like the whole combination of things as well, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Do you want to share, because you were burned out yourself? Do you want to share like what happened and like how you came back from that?
I think there were a lot of things. It probably started when I was divorced from my husband, and we had a baby, and that was it was not my choice. So it was a very like turbulent time. So trying to navigate the non-sleeping part for a few years was not helpful. And then I got into a relationship that was not healthy, which is, I am very grateful today because I can see when I need to help someone else to leave. So that is a huge part, I think, that is not so much talked about, like the emotional causes of burnout. So it's usually not that you have worked too much, which I also did because I got a new job and I moved to Stockholm and I got a new family with bonus kids. A lot of things change. So don't change everything
at once.
It's not recommended. It's not good for you. So I think there were a lot of things, but usually it's not very much talked about that this can also be like an emotional burnout. It's usually you work too much and then you get sick. But especially as women, we are very sensitive to emotional stress. If someone is sick in the family, if something is going on with your child, or if you are in a relationship that is not safe, I think it can be like detrimental to your nervous system. So being a highly sensitive person, it's even worse to be in relationships where you're not feeling safe. It's not helpful. So I think I did everything, and my father also got sick at the same time.
So just to recap, you moved, you got a new job, you got a new relationship with bonus kids, and your dad got sick.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that will lead to burnout.
I think, yes. Makes sense. And it was like the best thing that could happen, of course. So I think that was what pushed me into this. It was like a death of the soul. If I proceed on this path, I'm going to die, not physically, but in my spiritual path. So it had to change, all of it, of course. And it's been a very long journey back from that. So I try to use everything that I learned to transform it into something that can help someone else. Because I know what's going on in their minds, in their hearts, in their like everything. So I try to give that back.
If someone hasn't, I mean, in your case it's so obvious because there's so many things going on at once, but for people, I mean, you help now people who might need to come back from burnout, I guess, mostly, or are close.
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's it could be just that you have a feeling that something is wrong. You don't know who you are or where you're going, but something is feeling like no. And maybe you haven't connected to your intuition yet. So usually it's different. I have all kinds of people, and usually not so many in very serious stages of burnout, because they're only supposed to rest. We're not going to do anything for a long period. If you just got sick, you just need to do nothing. So it's quite different, but the sense of something is wrong. Maybe I know what I need to do, but I still have this fear holding me back. So sometimes I can be your courage to go.
I love that.
Until you have yours. Yeah. Because you know, and I know what needs to be done. And we can address the mind's ideas about how terrible this is and how everything is going to go wrong. Yeah. And we can work with how to handle the emotions connected to this. Yeah. Like, how can I deal with the panic attacks and the anxiety and the depression and the fear? Like, what can I do? And because there's so much to do. Yeah. And there is no medicine involved in this. No. In what I do. Not that kind of medicine, at least. Yeah. So there are women on different stages. Usually women, not always. But they tend to be the ones who come to me. Yeah. So that's where what you attract in, right? There. Yeah. I love that. So one word that seems to be, or it's just me, or it's been in some of the previous episodes as well, but like the word spirituality, what does that mean for you? To me, it means that you understand that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your body. There's something else. And to be in that space, non-duality or consciousness or whatever you want to call it, and see that everything else changes. Everything comes and goes. This is still here. It's always been here. And whatever stage there you are, it's just to realize that being human is also this. It's not, doesn't have to be feathers or, special clothes or doing something particular. It's just who you are. I think everyone is a spiritual being. That's what we are, and we just need to connect also to that part. And I think when that is missing is a part of people being burned out because we need it. We need to feel this connection to feel safe and to be in balance, and not to take everything too seriously. I guess it's like a blip of time when we're here. Just to invite some more joy and just playfulness in it. I find that so interesting that, at least for me, when I've gotten in touch with certain like memories and stuff that has like been stuck, when you get in contact with them, they are so small, many of them, but they have caused so much pain because at the moment they were so serious and they were so big. But in hindsight, they were like blip. Yeah, it's very interesting. What do you wish from the world? Like, could you specify the question? No, but I mean, a lot of the things that your intuition has said to you, you kind of like, oh, do I have to do this? Kind of maybe wish that someone else would do it. So is there anything that you like wish from the world that maybe aren't something that you should do, but that you think, based on what you know, would help the world? I think the world is exactly as it should be at this point. Very provoking, I guess. But I think there's a natural movement and cycles. So if anything, I would ask for curiosity, like to be open, less fear and more curiosity. I think that would do it. Nice. And when you also, right before now, you said that we should play more or have more fun.
How have you learned to do that?
With my dog.
Yes, that one.
Yes, sick on the dog. But just to see how they enter life.
Yeah.
And everything is fun.
Yeah.
Everything. Every
Exactly,
day.
everything.
Woohoo! Good morning. It's like, yay. The cat is not like this.
No.
She's like, I hate you. Where's my breakfast? And then she can love me afterwards. But it's kind of a conditional thing sometimes with her. But with dogs, it's just, I love you.
Yeah.
And also having a child, to me, to see his playfulness and not taking things too serious. And he's only 9, so he has it quite, and we have so much fun. So instead of being annoyed and things not going like the way I wanted them to, I can see his playfulness. And my best like parenting tip is play. Because trying to make him do what I want him to do has never, ever worked, ever. And it's so annoying, but it just doesn't. But when we play, it's like we're gonna... Works. Yes, it works. So we're gonna go somewhere and do something, like brush our teeth. I'm like, can you please come to the bathroom as a kangaroo? And he comes every time. But if I say, can you come to the bathroom because I want to brush your teeth? He says no. Of course. Why should he? It's boring. Yeah. But like kangaroo jumps, it's fun. And it's like, it makes it easier.
I love that.
Yeah. So we play a lot. And sometimes you don't have the energy, but you know, like this other path is not going to work. So I have to like...
You have to play.
Yeah, and I tried through the years, like being very firm and like sometimes I lose it because parents do. Yes. And we yell because we do. And then we say, I'm sorry. It's not you, it's me. Yeah. But just to see him. Yeah. And I think also connecting to this spiritual part of consciousness and seeing like, what is this? Does it matter? No. Can we laugh? Yes. Like I told you, trying to meditate and doing EFT this morning and being calm about this podcast being in English, and then there's a cat fight in the hallway. Like, what is going on? And I could like, you ruined my routine. Like this is not what I needed. And you know, the dog poops on the floor and things happen. And you break things or things go wrong. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I once washed my car, my first car. I don't know anything about cars, with a Scotch-Brite, like, you know, the rough side. So good. It looked so good until it dried. And I was like, oh. And I know my husband was sitting next to me when he tried, and he was like, why are you not angry? And I was like, it's done. I mean, it was super stupid, but I didn't know. It looked so good when it was wet, and now it's ruined, but it's also kind of fun. It's going to be expensive if we care about this, but you know, it happened. I can go through life with resistance and try to make things unhappened. Like, it's not going to work. It happened. And he was like, yeah, that's a way of seeing things. Like, it's done. Okay, if I knew, I would not have done it. I did not know. I did my best. It looked good when it was wet. Now it looks like shit.
We can have it wet all the time.
All the time. And I mean, we live in Sweden, so it's fine.
Or you can move to London. And it'll be better. Or Gothenburg, maybe. So
we move, and everything is fine. Spiritual bypassing.
Love that. So we're about to round off, and I usually ask a few final questions. So the first one is, what should I have asked you about that I haven't asked you about?
Oh, do you want my mind or my consciousness to answer?
Can you ask them twice, one from each?
My consciousness would say we don't need words.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Lovely. So
that would be a kind of
off now.
Yeah, that would be a boring podcast. Should you have asked? No, I think you did a great job.
That's great. Yeah. And the second question, which you kind of already said a little bit about now when you mentioned the conversation you had yesterday, but what are you working on with yourself right now?
I always work on releasing my fears, and they keep popping up. You know, when you go to a fair like Gröna Lund, and there are things popping up,
you have to hit them.
You have to hit them.
Yeah.
So when one comes up, I don't hit them, I embrace them, but there's also another one, like poop, poop. What? Does it ever end?
Apparently not in this lifetime.
And so I am kindly holding my fears as I see them when they pop up, and try to see what can I learn from them. Well, where do they come from? Like the memories you mentioned. Like, is this something? Can I connect this to something? How can I address this? So that I can follow my intuition and go on this path that I need to walk on.
Yeah.
So that is my thing. Also trying to invite more joy and like pleasure, maybe not in the sexual way, but just enjoying life. I had a moment this morning, it has only happened to me thrice in my life, when I am like 100% conscious, and it's like everything shifts, and I see details. And someone explained this to me, it's like a frequency of love. Because the first time it happened, I was like, I'm losing it. This is it. Now, like, the trees look weird. What is going on? And this is always my mind's first, like, no. And I think other people might have other like reactions like, yeah. And I'm like, what? No. So the second time I could enjoy it, and there are no thoughts, there are no emotions, it's just presence. And I was just looking at my dog, actually, at her nose, and like, wow, look at this. I think it could be, I never tried any, mushrooms or whatever, but I think it can be compared to that. And it's such a beautiful place to be. And it's only for a few minutes, but I was like, this is it. I need nothing. Is it like your brain releasing more DMT or something like that? Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a place where nothing is needed. My son saw a star falling the other night. And he said, look, Mom, you can make a wish. And the only thing I heard in my head was like, you have everything. I was like, oh, okay. I couldn't think of anything.
Oh, that's amazing, though.
And it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
It's not that I probably need stuff, things are broken, but I don't need them. And he said, it's okay, Mom, I can make a wish for you. I was like, good, thank you. Then we're set. Okay.
So interesting what he wished.
Yeah, I asked him, but if he told me, it wouldn't come true.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's not like peace and love, because he's 9. He's wonderful, but he's like 9. He's 9 and he loves football and PlayStation. So I think maybe something. Yeah.
Related to that.
Yeah. I don't know though.
No.
We'll see.
No idea. Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe he will tell you. You have to ask him. Write a letter to yourself in like 3 years and ask him if it came true or something. I don't know if he will remember. He's 9, but it would be cool.
But his memory is amazing.
Oh, wow.
It's not always good, but it's amazing. I envy that. It's so cool what he remembers.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's cool. Final question. Who do you think I should invite to the podcast?
If she hasn't been here, I would invite Annelie and Marie.
No, she has not been here.
She is the most amazing person I know.
Tell me something about her. I don't know that.
She was the reason I went to my first CAP session, because of something she wrote in an email or newsletter or whatever that sparked this.
Interesting.
And she also works with helping people to find their intuition. And that's her path.
Wow, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll definitely invite her. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Marie, for coming. It's been
Thank
amazing.
you.
I love listening to you.
Thank you.
Marie shared before that people tends to want to listen to her when they fall asleep, but
Yeah.
I was never sleepy. So they're missing out.
It's an invitation, though.
Yeah. If you want to listen to this episode 3 times, you're welcome to sleep the last 2.
Perfect.
Thank you for coming and for being on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Peel and Reveal, the podcast where we share stories of joy, purpose, and self-discovery. In the next episode, I'm talking with Peder Fjellström, co-founder and CTO of Nysnö, a company advancing psychedelic-assisted therapy in Sweden. Peder lives on a farm outside of Skellefteå, close to where I grew up, and come from a broad background in media, marketing, digital agencies, and startups. So we had a lot to talk about. Make sure to check it out.